Hi, Diamond Girls. It's me, Adrienne Everheart. I'm going to talk about anxious attachment styles, healing those core wounds that cause your anxious attachment style to exist, where it came from, how it happened in you, and how it's affecting your current relationship or your ability to call forth that loving relationship that you really desire. Now, in this process, I'm going to show you what has worked for me and many of my clients. It's a 3-day process to help you heal that core wound or core wounds. And the biggest goal in all of this is that you want to regulate your central nervous system. That is the key to having a happy and healthy relationship. That's what I teach you with feminine energy, which is not about denying our feelings or living in a detached or avoidant state where we can't share our feelings with someone for fear that they may reject us, but coming from a place of being secure with what you feel, secure in knowing how to express yourself, secure in what you feel in your feminine energy, and not always from a place of masculine or protective energy. So, everyone, this is a live video. I love coming to you live. I'm going to go over anxious attachment. I'm going to share the 3 steps, the 3-day process to helping heal this core wound that you have inside of you. And I just want to make sure everyone can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up on this video if you can hear me. Now, I'm going to start off with a little story, and this is about my own journey into discovering that I had both an anxious attachment style and an avoidant attachment style. So, the anxious attachment style, if you're tuning into this video, you probably already know that you have anxiety about relationships. You feel insecure about what you're feeling, the intensity of what you're feeling. You may even have had a partner say to you in the past, I can't give you enough attention. I can't give you what you need. I can't make you happy. And all of this goes back to a core wound or core wounds. And there may not even be a specific core wound that you can recognize or remember, but for now, I want you to set that aside. So I had the anxious attachment style. I knew I was feeling super anxious in my relationships and not feeling confident, not feeling like I could even go out and live my life because I didn't feel secure in my relationship. And even talking about it, speaking about it with you right now, I can still feel that part of me that was so um, really sad and down and anxious that I had difficulty even driving to the grocery store and buying myself groceries. And a big part of it was because I, as a person, did not feel secure. Now, I also had something called avoidant attachments, which meant I wasn't safe to feel and be who I was. So in a relationship, I would pretend I was happy. I would pretend everything was okay. I would kind of put on a brave face. And that was really a way of avoiding what I was really feeling for fear of showing up truly as I was and being loved and being accepted. Whether I was too skinny, too much weight, I wanted to be an artist, I wanted to be an actress, I wasn't making a lot of money at the time. I felt like I couldn't really be who I was in a relationship and completely be loved. So, a lot of you are commenting in the chat about being fearful avoidant, about being having your own different attachment styles. And I want you to just go ahead and let's start that conversation with recognizing what style, and I want to change up the word style because I really want you to look at that word style as This is something I experienced that helped foster these behaviors in me. It's not my style. It's something that happened to me, a core wound that was out of my control, usually in childhood, sometimes in adulthood. And again, sometimes there is no specific core wound, but it's not your style. It's what has happened to you. And now you're watching this video, you're going to learn your way out of it. Again, I'm going to show you a 3-day process that I use with my clients. And I first myself, I was my own guinea pig in healing myself of this process. So please feel free to keep the conversation going. When you think of your core wound, it is sometimes something that you can just really close your eyes and feel in your body. Or you may have something that comes up very quickly about what happened to you. It could have been a parent that told you not to cry, to hold back your feelings. Why aren't you like other kids? It could have been a parent that was too busy to love you and hold you and really make you be seen. It could have been a parent that rejected you for how you were feeling. Or they didn't really identify with how you were feeling. They were too busy. They were too worried about money. They were rushing out to go to work, or they themselves were suffering with their own emotional immaturity. And they really couldn't be there for you. And just like that, that wound is created. That wound that will affect you and your relationships potentially for the rest of your life because of that core wound, that core thing you felt unsafe. And when you feel unsafe, your central nervous system responds. You either go into fight or flight, you go into some sort of freeze, you disassociate, you kind of shut down, or you go into fawn. So something happened to help you through that process. And now you're in a relationship, or you're trying to find a relationship, or you're trying to get over heartbreak and loss. And you're finding it really difficult to do so because of this attachment style or condition that you're currently facing. So find, if you can, where you feel it in your body. If you have a specific memory, if you know specifically where it came from, there may be lots of core wounds. Have shared many times with you that definitely core wound with my dad, big time. There was once I had to call him collect. Back in the day, you would go and use a payphone and call him collect, and that was my call to say hello to him while him and my mom and my dad were separated. And I said, collect call from Adrienne, and my dad didn't accept the call. And he hung up the phone. I heard it clash, hang up. And I came out of that phone booth, and I'm still very sad about it, with just tears in my eyes. Core wound. So what do you think happened to me later in life when a man I loved very much, I wanted to speak with him, and he said no, and he hung up the phone. So you see how these core wounds can just stay in your body, and you don't really have that identity of a confident person. So the first part of this, as you're seeing with me, is to understand that just because you have experienced this core wound doesn't mean it has to go away. We're not here to erase who you are. I don't want you to forget what has happened to you. I really want you to look at it from just a different perspective. But this is not about what happened to me was sad. It was wrong. It wasn't fair. It wasn't what someone promised me. It's perfectly okay to be in this place of, yeah, that wasn't fair. That wasn't nice. That was wrong. It's okay to be in that spot. It's okay to be in that energy. So in your day one of this process, noticing your core wound, what is it? Feeling the emotion from it, not pushing it down, You are safe to be you with yourself. You are the biggest and most important relationship that you're going to have. Again, the goal is to get your central nervous system nice and stable and secure. And we do that by starting with you. This has to start with you. So, day one, that's your homework. Let's move into day two. And this is really about are you looking for a relationship to heal you? A lot of times we are looking for a relationship to heal us. We believe only when I have that loving relationship or marriage will I be happy. Only when my boyfriend comes back will I be happy. Only when I'm finally married or engaged or have a long-term boyfriend will I be happy. Only until I'm over this heartbreak of this other person who broke my heart. Only then can I be happy. And you're looking for a relationship to heal you. Now, relationships can be very healing. They can be wonderful, but this healing must start with you. So going back to day one, understanding the core wound, making friends with it. This really happened to me. This felt this way. This is where I feel it in my body. And if you can, journal about it a little bit, because when I say I want you to make friends with it, I don't want you to run from it anymore. I want you to embrace totally who you are and no longer hide from that part of you, because that's how we got here. We got into an anxious attachment style because we were denied that safety of what we really needed and what we really wanted in a relationship. And yes, especially as children, we have a great dependence on the adults around us. And even as adults, we want to have loving, long-lasting relationships. So let's talk about this part two, which is cognitive reframing. Now, cognitive reframing is about labeling, and I started that a little bit with attachment style. And I want you to begin to reframe this with, this is just my attachment situation, or this is how I've identified or observed myself as feeling in a relationship. So often, the words that we put on something, how we label it, that is actually contributing to how we're feeling bad. So your experience has so much to do with how you're speaking and talking to yourself. And when you can begin to reframe things on purpose with the intention of, I might just feel better by reframing this, we're not erasing it. We're not giving it a new name and hoping it feels a new way. We're reframing it. So as a very young girl, when the collect call wasn't accepted, I will always be sad for that, because I'm sad that for how I felt. I'm sad that I didn't have more support and more love and tenderness. That's really what I'm sad about. But as a grown adult woman now who is secure, I go, wow, my dad was really emotionally immature. Adults can be emotionally immature. And I begin to identify this in a different way. You see, now I've learned something from it. So for those of you that are hurting, and I want to hear from you, I want you to be able to look at this, and I'll help you in the chat section. Find a way that you're not judging what you're feeling as good or bad. You're noticing it, you're observing it. You can ask yourself questions like, okay, I'm feeling this right now. I'm feeling some sadness. I'm feeling anger at this person. How could they do this to me? But is this feeling going to kill me? Like, is this the end of me? And you can ask yourself an extreme question like that, because the answer is no, it's just a feeling. And feelings will not kill you. Become friends with that feeling, because that feeling is part of you. And again, you got here in an anxious attachment style because of the denial of feelings, the denial of senses, the denial of yourself. That's how you got here. That confident, courageous part of you that said, oh, he hung up the phone on me. He doesn't want me anymore. Later, not talking to you anymore. We're reconnecting to that very confident, secure part of you. Okay. I talk a lot about your rich, juicy, full life. Juicy like a peach. And that means this is your time to find uplifting people, events, things that go on in your world to create the life that you want. Now, again, I'm going to share with you this time in my life where I actually called an intuitive healer. She lived somewhere in the mountains of North Carolina because my boyfriend and I were just like not connecting. And I was so anxious and I was so depressed that I couldn't even go out and buy myself food. I couldn't even go to the grocery store. And I didn't want to go anywhere. And my mom was like, why don't you take a trip to like, Florida, or why don't you go to the beach for the weekend? And I couldn't even get in my car and drive. I was so at the end of my rope and depressed and sad because my identity was about feeling secure in that relationship. And I didn't feel secure. I had asked this particular long distance boyfriend to come and see me for Thanksgiving. I wanted to spend the Thanksgiving holidays with him. And he said, no, I don't want to. I don't want to travel. I don't want to have to be away from my family for Thanksgiving. And it just leveled me. So here's the big takeaway. I call this healer. I go, what's wrong with me? Why am I so anxious in this relationship? Why can't I just be like, okay, you don't want to see me on Thanksgiving? All right, bye. I'm going to go do my own wonderful thing and enjoy time with my family. And maybe go to, they have some great powwows, like Indian powwows on the days before Thanksgiving and sometimes on Thanksgiving Day. I could have done so many amazing things on that day instead of sit at home and feel terrible about myself. So I call this healer. And she gives me the worst advice I've ever had, which is basically, there ain't nothing to it but just to do it. And at the time, it sounded like a ripoff from Nike's whole just do it. But the more that I've grown and learned, there's so much more to it than just do it. But there is a part of it that you have to get the ball rolling. You have to boldly put one foot in front of the other and decide that if I'm in resistance of this feeling, if I'm in resistance with my relationship, if I'm feeling this push-pull because I'm not getting what I want, which was the Thanksgiving dinner with my boyfriend, I'm in resistance. And so what is the opposite of that resistance? Okay, acceptance. You don't want to be with me on Thanksgiving? All right, I am going to accept that. So day 2 is about acceptance, realizing I'm not always going to get what I want. I'm not always going to get the love and attention and response that I hoped for. The world is not going to give me what I always want. And that's going to alleviate a lot of anxiety that you're having to control your world, to make your world safe for you. So I'm going to say that again. This is about controlling your world to make it safe for you. So it exists in a way that speaks to you and supports you so that you feel safe. Your safety is right here. Your safety is with you. So if you are stuck at home, so depressed, you can hardly put one foot in front of the other, find one very easy thing to do. Even if it's one walk around the block, you call one friend, you go to one store and walk around. You've got to get that ball rolling in the new direction, okay? You've got to take a first step and trust that it will work out. Trust that with enough time plus repetition, you will get a new result. That's how trust works. It is the belief in time plus doing something new will give me a result. That is trust. Okay? So let's go on to day 3, which is Is this relationship really meeting my needs? So often I work with women who are in anxious attachment style or either avoidant attachment style or their partner's avoidant attachment. And I have to just ask you, is the relationship meeting your needs? So at the time with my guy who I wanted to come and see me for Thanksgiving, was that relationship meeting my needs? No, it was long distance. The guy to this day is still single. He's not married. He doesn't put a priority on relationships with other people. That's who he is. That relationship was not meeting my needs. And I was pursuing that relationship because it felt the most familiar to the guy who hung up on me when I was making the collect phone call. Goes back to dad. It goes back to that core wound. So once you can identify what your core wound is, you know what it is, and you may have many of them, but if you can't, try to narrow them down into different types of core wounds. This one would have been definitely an abandonment wound. You can begin to notice if your current relationship has a similar energy and that you're being rejected. You're not, the man isn't, as I say, moving mountains to be with you. He's not making the effort to spend time with you and be with you. Is that relationship really meeting your needs? So many powerful dynamite women spend years of their life, so much time and energy pursuing a man, trying to fix that man so they can get what they need, which is the love and the wonderfulness. And it feels so intense, like a intense, powerful drug, because you're going without it and then you're suddenly getting it. So day 3, is this relationship really meeting my needs? Is this really what I want, or am I trying to fix a person to give me what it is I want? Begin to notice what your current relationship, where you're feeling the resistance in your relationship. What am I forcing to have happen in my relationship instead of just relaxing and allowing? So let's go back to the first thing I said in this video. Your key to a healthy, loving, long-lasting relationship is in having a regulated central nervous system. Your key to having a healthy, loving, long-lasting relationship with another person is in having a regulated central nervous system. If you are in an avoidant or anxious or any other type of attachment style that's making you feel insecure and anything but secure, you might feel anxious once in a while. It is about regulating your central nervous system. This is where you must show up for yourself. See the world for really what it is. This is what I call Diamond Girl clarity, and be able to take action in the direction of what it is you truly do want. So a lot of what I'm saying here, it's going to take listening to a couple of times to go back through and put all these pieces together. And later, maybe I'll make a video and just focus on each of them one at a time. But this is about really observing who you are, what you're feeling, making peace with it, and going, yeah, is this really meeting my needs? Now, for those of you who are doing things like I was doing and calling a long distance, spiritual healer and things like this, I'm not saying that those don't work, but I have a coaching group where I'm in this group and 4 other coaches are in this group. And we're here to help you with things like this. We do it every day. Every week we teach a live class, including myself. So I'll have the link to my group below. If you need more support, we can work on a specific issue. And I really encourage you, join me for a year. Who will you be in a year after working with me and my coaches? That's the really fun question I want you to ask yourself. Okay, I want you to think of some questions that you might have for me. And I'm going to go over my notes, make sure I covered everything. And I'll be happy just to take a couple of your questions. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. Anxious attachment styles. Okay. Yes. I just will say one last thing. The men around me at that very anxious time in my life, they were really comfortable just dating me once a month, 3 times a month. They were comfortable with that. They were okay with that. It made me anxious as hell because I needed more. My needs were not being met. And I don't know why I couldn't see that at the time. At the time, it was just like, what can I say? What can I do to make them change, to make them love me all the time? And that creates more anxiety. So if we go back to the core wound, how can I make mom and dad love me? How can I make mom and dad see me? What can I do or say differently to get this person to notice me, that I'm here? You can see how these core wounds were created. Okay, and how we're keeping them going. All right, I'm going to take a couple of questions. Here we are. How do you move past the fear of abandonment? Well, that's a little bit what I'm talking about in this video, which is having a starting place. The first most important place is, where am I feeling it in my body? Noticing it, reframing it. Okay, what does abandonment feel like in your body? Where do you feel it in your body? Okay, so let's look at this in a different way. You can see, you can observe something and name something in a very particular way or a neutral way. So what does abandonment really feel like? Oh, I feel like this prickly, like clawing. I feel like there's ripping happening, like the muscles are being torn apart from me, like something's literally being torn apart from my body. So now, can you sit with that feeling and just notice what it feels like in your body? Notice that felt sense. Because nothing's being torn apart in your body, is it? No, but we can notice that feeling. Now, can you take your hands and put it on that part of your body and say, oh, I feel you. Some part of my body, it might be a whole nother world going on in there. And I'm the universe. And I feel you. I hear you and I feel you. And you're showing up for yourself. You're showing up for your body. That's one of the most important things to do, to begin moving past that, is that I'm going to be here for you. People may walk out the door. Men must walk out the door for the right man to walk in the door. People are going to walk away from me. People are going to die that I love very much. Pets are going to die, but I am going to be here with myself. I'm going to grieve. I'm going to feel what I feel, but I will be okay. As a child, the core wound says, you're not okay. You're a little kid. You've been abandoned. So you can see how as an adult, you think the same way. So this is about showing up as an adult, and I'm going to be okay. I'm going to endure this. I'm going to survive this. I'm going to figure this out. Right? Trusting yourself, even when you could not trust the adults around you. All right, this is a great question. What advice can you give for beginning dating stages when you find your anxieties sabotaging opportunities? So, sabotage is one of my favorite things I talk about, especially in my course, Fem Tools for Dating. Fem Tools for Dating is over on my website. It's on the Fem section in my courses. If you have any doubts about dating, about what to say, your dating profile, how to do any of this, go check out Fem Tools for Dating. Because sabotage means things are going pretty good. Something's happening and it's feeling okay. But you say something or you do something or you just flake on the date. Or I'd love to know, Brianna, how you sabotage. So sabotage is, again, we're going back to this step one, day one of this, which is noticing what you do. Noticing what you tend to do. And now we're going to fast forward to, I think it was step 3, which is boldly take a step in the direction of just not doing that anymore. So once I'm aware of it, here's how it normally worked. Downward spiral. Oh, I'm sabotaging, and you keep on going down. The new model is I'm on a date with a guy. Oh, I just started to sabotage this situation. I start to talk or say or do something. I'm aware of it. I'm going to stop it right there so I can begin to go back up. So once you have that awareness, you can't keep going back down unless you're just like, screw it. I'm going to totally dive straight into sabotage. Okay. So awareness. Brianna, that's a great question. Antoinette has the same problem. I'd love to know a little bit more about that as well. Antoinette said, my dad passed away when I was 2, and my mom raised my 2 sisters and myself as a single mom. She was very cold and almost never hugged us. And I'm going to guess you might be like a little bit like me, like you're both have that avoidant part of you. Like, is it safe to get close to someone? Is it safe to show feelings? Because in the past, if I showed feelings, don't you feel that way? Don't you cry? You might have gotten some of that. Or you went to someone for hug or love and attention, and did you get it? Yeah. So this is real. And I want to just, for everyone, it's so easy to blame our poor parents. And I say our poor parents, but that's where your healing is going to start, is having some empathy for them, that they were really, truly loving you the absolute best way they could in that moment in time. I don't want to go too dark here, but in the news right now, there's a woman who, had 2 adopted children who she killed. And I never want to be like, hey, at least your parents didn't kill you. But they didn't. They somehow kept some of the things going. They kept food on the table. They could buy you new school clothes. They could maybe occasionally read you a book before bed, or help you with a problem, or they paid for your college tuition. They were able to do some of the things. They just weren't able to do all of the things. And raise your hand if you can do all of the things. So none of us can do all of the things. We're all loving one another to the very best capabilities we can. Your awareness is the best part of this. Look, right now, I will tell you, I have a girlfriend, a close friend of mine, that I really unzipped my heart to her. I cried my eyes out to her. I got angry with her, and I haven't heard back from her. And I'm not safe to feel with her. I'm sure it's more nuanced, but I also know I've seen her act this way with her kids a little bit, like, oh, they're having these emotions. And yeah, is it safe for me to feel when I'm with you? So just so you know, they're doing the best they can. You can embrace that relationship still with your parents, reflecting on the good that you did have with them. I hope that helps you. And thank you so much for sharing. I think so many people listening right now can relate. I'm going to see. Brianna said, here we go. She said, thank you. Very helpful. Anxious energy, which means I check their social, looking at their dating profile. If they change their pick, I'm not sure what that means. Like, do you just start, you start vetting them. So that's the beauty of quantum dating. Quantum dating is like, I don't care what you do for a living. I'm not even, you're okay to look at. You're not even like exactly what I'm looking for. You're just trying 1 to 3 dates solely for practice, to practice receiving, exchanging, showing up, answering questions, being available, unzipping your heart, feeling safe. This is why, you board the airplane and the stranger next to you starts telling you their life story. There's some magic in, I don't owe you anything. I don't have any connection with you. Therefore, I can just tell you anything. So that's the cool thing about quantum dating is that you start to feel safe just unzipping and sharing a little bit. I'm not saying share your life story, but you begin to feel safe with these men you're quantum dating because there are so many of them. Okay, something to think about. Angela says, we've been dating for 7 months and things have been natural and wonderful and easy. And recently I've been feeling distance resistance. He says, maybe we're out of love. Ugh. Devastating to hearing this. Not sure how to proceed. Oh, Angela, I am so glad you asked this. Because if he says, maybe I'm out of love, is that, you said recently been feeling distance. Is that you recently been feeling distance or is that him recently been feeling distance? So answer me real quick there, Angela. I have two things about this. The first one is if you have one of these avoidant styles or methods or conditions, or you tend to be this way, when you do find kind of like a easy, peaceful, flowing love, it starts to feel boring. The ego is in search of those highs and those lows and those big dramas and the thing that Hallmark movies and Hollywood movies are made of. And that's just not reality. That's the ego. Love is actually very consistent and can feel very boring because it is very consistent and there are no highs and lows. Second thing is, if somebody says, I'm maybe not in love with you, I'm like, well, that maybe to me is all I need to hear because I'm not here to win your love. I'm not here to win approval. I'm not here to prove I need to be loved. I'm not here to wait around and see if you change your mind because the best way to get a man to change his mind is to walk away. Read my blog on why walking away works. I think I have 3 of them out there. I want to tell you, those 3 blogs get more hits on my website than anything else I have. Go Google my name, Adrienne Everheart, and walking away. Read every blog I've written about walking away and how powerful it is. Scary to walk away, but it is the fastest, quickest answer. She says, I've had some conversations. We're able to communicate things that weren't communicating before, and now that's resistance. So am I safe to tell you how I'm feeling? Am I safe to tell you what I'm experiencing? Just side note, Angela, make sure you're using I feel statements. I'm feeling anxious when this happens. I feel worried when this happens, so that you're not, attacking your partner. I teach you more about that in 500 ways to talk to a man. She also says, I'm worried we don't want the same things. He's not sure what he does want. Yeah, a little time away will be great for you guys. So go Google why walking away works. My name, Adrienne Everheart. You're going to get a lot. You're going to get a lot of information with those blogs, and you're very, very welcome, my dear. Okay, right here. How do I let go when the love of my life after 20 years, it is my fault? Okay. So I'm going to assume that you did something that broke the trust in the relationship, and the relationship therefore ended. And you're asking me, how do I let go? So my answer to you is you don't. You don't let go. You can still love this person. You can still recognize them as a very important person in your history and in your life. You can love them for the qualities and the gifts they brought you. You can also, like in one of my day 3, boldly take one step forward in a new direction. You are being thrusted into a new timeline. I was on this one timeline, me and my partner. Now I'm thrusted into a new timeline. Same thing happens when you go through a breakup. You get blindsided by a breakup. You are thrusted onto a new timeline. You have to keep moving forward. You have to find strength slowly, step by step, move forward. I've talked a lot about my first husband. Beautiful, wonderful, lovely man. Love him so, so much to this day. I am so thankful I am married to my husband, Jeff, though. My husband, Jeff, we have a completely different type of energy with each other and flow. And I can't believe that I was with someone, I could love someone so much, but actually find someone that was a better fit for me. So instead of beating yourself up, it's all my fault, learn and move on. This is your time to learn and move on. That's what creates a secure attachment, which is not everything's going to work out. Not everything is going to go the way I want it to go. That actually creates security, right? In a child's mind, things are supposed to work out. Things are supposed to be magical. Dad and mom are always supposed to be here and give me what I need. In the adult world, we know that that's actually not totally accurate. See how you can begin to balance those a little bit, Laura. Be easy on yourself and love him. Start making also a list of all the wonderful qualities that he had, because I really feel like you could draw forth those qualities in a new partnership. And check out my course, The ABCs to Get Him Back. It's a great course. Okay, we'll take one last question. We're going to wrap it up. Marisol says, I was talking to my guy for 5 weeks, every day, all day. Seems interested and asked several times if I wanted something serious, because he wanted to pursue something long-term with me. So I talked earlier about Fem Tools for Dating. So you have now invested 5 weeks into where are we at? And one thing that I get you to do in Fem Tools for Dating, no more time wasting. I'm not saying that you're wasting time, but I want you to be able to have very concise conversations where you can get in touch with, are we on the same page? Are we looking for the same things? Or am I just practicing with this guy? Am I just quantum dating with him? And make sure you meet him in person. Make sure you meet in person as soon as possible, because just talking, it's not a real relationship. It doesn't count until you really, really meet each other. All right, some fun stuff. Prana says, love you, Adrienne. Thank you. I love you too. Thank you so much for helping me discover and reconnect with my feminine energy. It's been a rewarding journey. I am honored to help you. I'm honored to help all of you. I went through it myself. I'm glad to just be here and share my knowledge with you. Share it with a girlfriend. Share it with someone you really love and care about. And thank you for all those kind words. All right, last question. Here it is. We're going to make it a really good one. Becca, how do I get him to have a serious conversation about marriage? Anytime I bring it up, he makes a joke and he says, yeah, someday we will, but not anything specific. It's so frustrating. Go read my blog on why walking away works. Seriously, I have one in there specifically about if a man will not propose to you, what you will have to do. Now, this is not my first rodeo, as they say. I have had many, 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 many clients come to me very much in love with one man, and they say, I love him. We have been 5 years we've been together. We've been living together 4. We have a dog together. We bought a house together. I have no engagement ring, and we are not married. And I'm like, what are you thinking? It's now or never. He needs more time to think. He needs to pay off his school debt. He needs to wait until this other thing happens. Okay. His problems are not your problems. So this is about, I love you. You're the guy for me. This feels amazing. I want to be a wife. I want to be a wife. And if I want a man who wants to marry me, I want a man who wants to put a ring on my finger and walk down that aisle with me and walk into the sunset together as a couple. That's what I want. And if we're not on the same page, I am going to be moving on. I had that conversation with my husband, Jeff, before we were ever married. We were dating twice a week. I was looking forward to those 2 days of the week all the time. And then when they would arrive, I'm like, what am I doing? I feel miserable. I was in that anxious attachment because my needs were not getting met. So I felt miserable and anxious because your needs are not getting met. So I had the conversation with him. I said, I really want to be a wife one day. He said, okay, I'm not going to be me. I said, all right, I'm going to accept your no. I love you and I am going to miss you so much, but I'm going to be moving on. And as I drove away from his house that day, tears just rolling down my cheeks, but I also started to feel more empowered. So it may come down to that. It might just be a long weekend away where you say, you know what, I love you, but I'm not sure about us. I'm going to go to my mom's for the weekend. I got a lot of things to think about. And don't be texting each other every day. Go to your mom's for the weekend or get away for a weekend. Don't have a lot of contact with him. And I want to tell you, it's not about just getting engaged. It's about getting married. So once he says, okay, baby, I got you the ring. We're engaged. Excellent. Let's set the wedding date. That has to happen as well. Check out my FEM courses, Feminine Energy Mindset Method. I've got FEM Diamond, FEM for relationships, FEM for dating. Ladies, go check out those courses. I have a lot to teach you there. And if you want to go deeper with me, you want to work with me, come join my group. Join me for a whole year. See who you are in a year from now by working with me. And I have some amazing coaches that help me as well. And we're teaching live classes every single week. You can ask questions. You can post questions. Check out the link for that below. All right. Okay. I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for being with me today. I have really, really enjoyed this. Thank you, Laura, Marisol, Angela. Thank you for everyone who was vulnerable and unzipped your heart and shared. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, go give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube. YouTube has changed some stuff around. When you open on the mobile, I get emails from people going, Adrienne, why don't you make videos anymore? And I'm like, I'm making them almost every week, but YouTube is not showing them to you. So you have to make sure you subscribe and click your subscriptions up in the top part on your mobile phone to see my videos. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. And I hope this 3-day process will help you. Maybe over the long weekend, you can work on some of these steps or just take them, one day at a time when it feels convenient for you. And if you have any questions at all, use that comment section below and I'll do my best to answer you. Okay. Lots of love. Bye-bye.